Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Hello, fine folks. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Folks, there is some very, very exciting news coming out of Iraq and also Vietnam. Goldilocks is reporting directly from the CBI information that is going to be very exciting for all of us, and also Vietnam. Keep in mind, I won't go into extreme detail on this podcast today. However, on the Saturday night dialogues call at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Saturday, we will go into more detail to show you with receipts what Iraq and both Vietnam is doing that will absolutely help to raise the value of the Iraqi dinar and also the Vietnamese dong. Let's jump right into what we're going to share today that it's going to make you very, very excited to understand and know what's going on. Goldilocks is sharing that the Central Bank of Iraq announced the signing of a banking agreement with another Middle Eastern bank named Emirates Islamic Bank. And what it is they are announcing that the mechanism that will allow individual customers meeting within Iraq in the near future to purchase Islamic bonds issued by this Arab bank named Emirates Islamic Bank. Now, in order for an Iraqi or just anyone in the Middle East to purchase a bond from another Middle Eastern country, wherever they are purchasing it from, let's say Iraq. Let's just be very, very specific. In order for Iraq to enable these bonds to be sold from Iraq, the Iraqi dinar will have to have an international rate. The technical term is market rate. Many of you in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room, you've learned the difference between a market economy and an emerging market economy. We're going to go into more detail on Saturday. But in order for this to be done, in order for these bonds to be sold from Iraq, the Iraqi dinar will eventually have to have a international rate, or what's called a market rate, because these bonds are sold in the global market. So, for example, if an individual in Iraq wants to buy this bond from this other bank in the Middle East, the value of the Iraqi dinar will be affected. Absolutely. Why? Because the only way that someone within Iraq can buy these bonds, can purchase these bonds, is for the dinar to be available in the open market. So by Iraq signing this agreement, by this being done, it clearly shows Iraq's preparation for the Iraqi dinar to be available internationally, therefore, of course, having an international rate. And of course, that is extremely important to understand and know. Now, That's first. Second, what Iraq is doing. Iraq, the central bank, has announced that they are planning to introduce a digital currency. Now, this is something back in December that we reported on. Goldilocks shared it, that Iraq would soon issue a digital dinar. The CBI told a local had a local press conference and let it be known that they're making radical changes. They're making these radical changes, and the CBI governor stated that the CBI is making radical changes in the global financial banking system. Moving into a digital currency, folks, basically, let me just be very clear. Moving into a digital dinar will influence Iraq's exchange rate because it allows the dinar to be more accessible electronically throughout the world. Switching to a digital dinar can impact Iraq's currency value in several ways, which will potentially lead to the increased efficiency, lower transaction cost, and transparency. What does this sound like, folks? The quantum financial system. Digital currency such as the digital dinar provides access to financial services for the dinar that didn't exist before it being digital. If other countries adopt digital currencies, the US dollar's role will be gradually decreased, therefore increasing the role and the value of other currencies. All this is the interlinking of the Iraqi dinar into the global banking system electronically. Now, this is something that they're not saying is going to be done tomorrow. This is something they are presently working on in the very short period of time. We will go into more detail on Saturday night's call. Now let's get to Vietnam. The State Securities Commission of Vietnam, which is a regulatory agency which initiates laws in Vietnam, they have announced that Vietnam, and yes, the Vietnamese dong, will now be available for trade, meaning to trade in the open market on their two stock exchanges within Vietnam. And these stock exchanges also exchange in the global market. Now, the Vietnamese dong is already international, but not until now, the Vietnamese dong will be able to move throughout the world and have access to more financial institutions and investors throughout the world, which will increase the value of the Vietnamese dong. Think of it like this. You have a stock exchange and a securities exchange. These are trading. These are two trading platforms, international exchange trading platforms that the Vietnamese dong didn't have access to before. So this is new access, new global access for the Vietnamese dong. We will go into more depth on Saturday's call in this regard as well. Vietnam also signed a multilateral agreement with other countries within Asia, in the Asia Pacific region, to also have access to the Vietnamese dong on these new platforms. This is the equivalent of a coming out party of the Vietnamese dong on a more global, accessible scale. The Vietnamese dong the price value has been manipulated and suppressed since before the Vietnam War. There is no logical, legitimate reason that the Vietnamese dong has been suppressed, the value suppressed for all these years, especially after the growth of the Vietnamese dong and the Vietnamese economy. This is an important milestone for this particular global exchange company and platform within Vietnam, because it connects the Vietnamese dong to other international exchanges throughout the world whereby the dong didn't have access to before. The bottom line is this. Now, the Vietnamese dong, through these exchanges, these regulatory exchanges, which are legal bodies, legal exchange platforms, they will now oversee the foreign currency exchange transactions of the Vietnamese dong through a regulated process that did not exist before. On the Saturday Night Dialogues call, we will go into more depth and show you the bombshell of an announcement this is for Vietnam and also for Iraq. No coincidence they're both doing the same thing at the same time, along with the U.S. with regulations. And actually, they're actually ahead of us. Vietnam and Iraq ahead of the U.S. But it's all coming together collectively. Saturday Night Dialogue call. Bring your popcorn. Hope it's extra warm with some nice butter, because it's going to be hot. Be well, be kind.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.